Dear dreamers, to tonight's gentle journey. You've arrived at a place where imagination flows softly like the wind through an ancient forest, and memories glow like lanterns in the mist. I am here to guide you on this journey, and tonight I have a special treat for you. We're going to travel to a place called Duskwood Vale, and we'll meet the quietest lantern keeper in all the land. But before we begin our adventure, let me tell you a bit about tonight's bedtime tale. You see, this story is not just for children, though it has a touch of magic that would delight any little one. It's made for you, the dreamer, the gentle-hearted, the wistful, the ones who've known joy and ache, wonder and change. Its purpose is to stir your soul with the light of long-forgotten memories and to gently guide you into the hush of sleep. So, if you're ready to close your eyes and drift away, I invite you to find a soft place to rest and let the story take you through the glowing paths of memory and moonlight. Beneath a sky of silver dust and drifting stars, the lanterns of Duskwood flickered like old dreams, whispering in the mist. Follow their glow, and perhaps you'll remember something your soul once knew. In the forgotten valley of Duskwood, where twilight lingers longer than it should, there lived an old lantern keeper named Elian. Now, the folk of the nearby town rarely spoke of him, and most folks passing through the Whispering Wood didn't know he was there. But to those who once wandered, its mossy paths, those with hearts full of longing or eyes dimmed with fading memory, he was a quiet comfort. The winding trails of Duskwood were carpeted, their branches entwined, as if sharing secrets from times long past. Here, memories lingered in sun-dappled glades, and fireflies danced in the twilight, painting the dusk with dancing sparks. And at the heart of it all was Elian, tending to the lanterns that lined the paths. One evening, as the first stars began to prick the darkening sky, a traveler entered the wood. She was cloaked in velvet blue, like the twilight sky just beginning to fall. Her steps were soft, her gaze distant, as if she, too, was searching for something beyond the reach of memory. Elian, sensing her gentle presence, stepped out from the trees. His face was kind, etched with the lines of a life well lived, and his eyes held the wisdom of countless twilights watched over. Without a word, he turned toward the fading light, and she followed, drawn to his quiet strength. He led her deeper into the wood until they reached a clearing bathed in the warm glow of lantern light. There, nestled amidst the trees, were pools of water as still and dark as night. Yet, when she bent closer, she saw that they shimmered with reflections of laughter, firelight, song. For these were no ordinary pools. They were the memory pools, and they held the echoes of hearts that had walked these paths before. Each step she took stirred memories within her, feelings she hadn't realized she had missed. The scent of wildflowers brought back the joy of a child's laughter. The rustle of leaves echoed with whispers of long-forgotten lullabies, and the moonlight filtering through the trees painted silvery beams across her path, lighting up fragments of a life once lived. As Morel stood there, gazing into the memory pools, she saw the face of a young girl with hair like spun moonlight and eyes full of laughter. It was herself, dancing beneath the very same trees all those years ago. The girl smiled, carefree and bright, and for a moment, Morel felt that joy bubble up inside her, untangling years of worry and care. Then suddenly, she heard a familiar sound, a deep rumble like distant thunder. As she turned, she saw her father striding toward her through the trees, his arms outstretched. She remembered his strong embrace, his comforting words, the way he always knew how to make her laugh. Tears welled up in Morel's eyes as she ran into his waiting arms. In that embrace, she felt the warmth of a love that had never faded, only slumbered. Her father's presence enveloped her, chasing away the shadows and filling her heart with a radiant joy. When she finally pulled away, her heart lighter than it had been in years, she looked up at him, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. He smiled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "You were the one who danced so beautifully, my love," he said, his voice a low rumble like the distant thunder. "I merely watched and waited to catch you when you grew weary." She threw her head back and laughed, the sound echoing through the twilight wood, mingling with the music of the spheres. As they danced, Elian joined them, his steps surprisingly light for one so seemingly still. He moved with a grace that belied his years, his form a silent poem against the fading light. Morel and her father danced with abandon, twirling under the watchful gaze of the ancient trees, their laughter echoing through the moss-covered stones. The music swelled, carrying them away on a tide of pure joy. Yet, as the dance drew to a close, a shadow flickered across Morel's face. She turned to her father, her eyes clouded with a sudden sadness. "Why did I forget this place?" she whispered, her voice catching in her throat. "Why did I let the years slip by without returning?" Her father's hand tightened on hers, his gaze unwavering. "Some doors, my love," he said softly, "are meant to open only when you are ready to walk through them." A gentle understanding washed over Morel, and she squeezed her father's hand in response. As the first rays of dawn began to paint the sky with hues of rose and gold, Morel knew it was time to leave. With a heavy heart, she turned to Elian, who stood beside the memory pool, his silhouette framed by the rising sun. "For showing me the way home." He nodded, his eyes filled with a gentle light. "What once was cherished never truly fades," he murmured. "It simply waits for you to return." He handed her a small lantern, its glass surface smooth and cool to the touch. "Take this," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "Let its light guide you when the way grows dim and the shadows grow long." She would carry its light within her, letting it be her compass when the path ahead seemed uncertain. With a final nod to Elian, she turned and walked toward the opening of the wood. Behind her, the lantern keeper and the memory pools faded into the growing light, becoming one with the whispering trees and the fading dreams. The sun climbed higher in the sky, chasing away the remnants of twilight. Yet the memory of Duskwood and its ageless lantern keeper lingered in Morel's heart, a comforting presence as she stepped back into the warmth of the day. As the story ends, we leave Morel stepping into the dawning light, a lantern held high, ready to face whatever comes next. Now, dear dreamers, I want to ask you something. Do you remember a time when a place or a scent brought back a rush of memories? Perhaps a walk in the park reminded you of a childhood game, or the aroma of baking bread sparked a memory of a loved one's embrace. Share your stories in the comments below. Your experiences have the power to touch others in ways you may never know. And if you found comfort in tonight's tale, please leave a gentle like, share it with someone who needs peace, and subscribe to return again. Thank you for joining us tonight, dear dreamers. And until we meet again in our next story, may the magic of imagination forever light your way.